asked a bunch of girls, when was the last time a man approached you at a bar and started talking to you? And I thought this was just me thing, but they were all like, no, it hasn't happened in, I can't even tell you how long, like before COVID. And I thought that was a me experience. I was like, okay, maybe I give off like a standoffish vibe. I don't know. I don't think so.
Nothing can really come against you when you have God by your side.
Yeah.
Not fear.
Yeah.
Not doubt. Not opposition. Because what's meant for you will always find you, even when the path doesn't make sense. People may doubt you. Doors may close. Storms may rise. But God doesn't fail, and neither will his plan. So walk boldly, move in faith. What's aligned with God can't be stopped, only delayed for purpose.
Ladies, the reason guys stop doing this stuff, down to opening your car doors and all this stuff, is because you made it clear that you didn't need them to do that for you, and you didn't even like them to do it for you, because you can do it for yourself, right? You don't need a man, right? Remember all that?
I don't understand. Why are you being so mean?
Better? Better at what? Oh my goodness. I mean, I can certainly think of a long list of things that some women certainly are better at than men, but that only really promotes a stereotype in some cases, so they would probably feel very called out if I actually brought that up. And there are things out there that men are better at than women, but the thing to remember here is that there are people out there that actually think this way, that one gender is better than the other. No one's better than anyone else. Everyone has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. But this type of propaganda doesn't help anyone.
Guys are now in a vetting process, right? Because they're tired. They're tired of y'all women being nasty, treating them with disrespect, making your videos and all this stuff. So now they're like, well, I'm just not doing like that anymore. And we're going to do when you deserve it. That's why Brian says bring back all the women, because that is the line, right? You want to bring back all these like chivalrous guys? You want to bring back all that? All right. Well, where are the women who deserve it?
What's going on, fellas? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let's get back to the video.
You know, I've been studying men since 1991, was that I asked Greg, I'm like, okay, so from natural horsemanship, I know horses are seeking peace. And it seems like that's what men are doing too. They're seeking peace. So do you experience peace when what you've set out to accomplish is done? And sometimes Greg would look at me like I was slow, you know? And it's like, honey, being focused is peace.
Yeah.
What? What? So when we interrupt them to connect, not only are it's a threat because we've diminished their productivity, we've also interrupted their peace.
If you're married, your wife is your biggest obstacle in your life.
You're a big obstacle. Explain that one.
Well, I feel like, at least for me, I see like what God's doing in your life, and I am the easiest person to stop it. You know, like I have the most influence, I have the most say, I have the most ability to manipulate, control, cause doubt, undermine you, cause division in our marriage. Like we're supposed to be one. Like I'm the easiest target for the enemy to try to get you off track.
I would never date a broke man.
There really are a lot of arrogant individuals out there that truly believe that a lot of people really care who they would date.
That is so pathetic as a man to be broke. That is your one job, to provide and protect.
Well, actually, that would be 2 jobs, but I digress.
And you're gonna let me pay for anything around you? No.
Wow. There are some really entitled women out there. And believe it or not, they're not necessarily talking about someone that they're in a relationship with.
I would not even be friends with a guy who makes me pay for.
Oh yeah, some women feel entitled to leech off of their male friends as well.
You're a man, bro. And you're gonna watch a girl buy a coffee in front of you? You don't have $7? Like, no.
Like, yes, he should. Because it's just my opinion, but unless, of course, a woman is married to a man, that man doesn't have any financial obligation to her whatsoever. And I really feel sorry for women who think like this, because they're the very same ones who wonder why they don't get more respect from men.
I've been going on dates for the past 2 weeks. When I say I'm not satisfied, this what the I got to choose. When you take me on a date, you open up my door. You open up the door, you pull out the chart if it's a chart, and you cut my steak if it's a steak. I'm always gonna order a steak to see if you got some home training. If you take a female on a date, she order a steak, you cut it. They pre-cut it, then you cut it. Be a gentleman. Be the gentleman. You trying to gently touch on this. Do the work. Do the work. We going on multiple dates. You want some ass from me? We going on multiple dates. We putting in effort. We doing what we got to do to get some ass.
A lot of these modern women are leaving good men because he's too predictable. He's too stable. He's too available, if that makes any kind of sense. And now you go out there chasing unavailable men that just want to, put you through the mattress and then send you on out the door with a cup of Starbucks coffee. Is that the life that you want for yourself? Probably not.
Feminism is a scam that taught women to be single, independent, and miserable. They sold you a lie that you don't need men, and now you're wondering why you're lonely and bitter at 35. Feminism taught you that marriage is oppression, that having kids holds you back, and that depending on a man makes you weak. So you choose career over love, independence over partnership, and now you're successful but empty. Well, most of you aren't even successful, you're just broke and alone, but hey, at least you're independent, right? They convinced you that men are the enemy, that traditional roles are slavery, and that being feminine is degrading. Now you hate the very thing you're biologically wired to attract. You're working 40 to 60 hour weeks to fill in your time, coming home to an empty apartment, wondering why you feel unfulfilled despite having it all. The women who rejected feminism and chose traditional roles are married, fulfilled, and actually happy, while you're still trying to prove you don't need anyone. Feminism didn't liberate you, it isolated you. You traded love for loneliness and called it empowerment. I used to follow feminism blindly too, so there's still hope for you. It's not too late to wake up and choose differently.
I think the reason why black men date outside of their race is because they want to be loved and catered to. And imagine coming from a household where they have a toxic mother, and then they date a black woman who's a toxic black woman who reminds them of their mother. I wouldn't want that. I'm dating outside of that. I want to be better than that. Does that make sense? And not to attack y'all, but you guys don't listen to understand. You listen to argue. You listen to pick. You guys are not open-minded all the time. And not all of you ladies, not all of you, but a lot of you, especially on this app, I've noticed, you attack a lot of people. You even attack me over something I'm saying, and it's my opinion, and you belittle me. So imagine what you do to men. I don't think that men do it on purpose, but I think men like that catering and that sweet, and a lot of women will sit there and listen. Yes, not every race is going to understand his struggles, and yes, you should not be giving your love to every man, but this is not right.
A lot of women are just mentally ill when it comes to dating, and someone has to say it, and well, it might as well be me. And I know this is going to trigger some of you, but this is straight up hypocritical behavior that needs to be called out. You don't want the nice guy, so instead you go for the toxic bad boy who treats you like garbage. You'd rather chase the chaos, the drama, and the challenge of trying to fix someone who clearly doesn't want to be fixed. We ignore the green flags from good guys because they feel boring or too available. Make that make sense. Then when the relationship crashes and burns, which it always does, instead of reflecting on the choices and accepting that actions have consequences, you run to your friends, run to the internet, and complain that there are no good men left. But the reality is, you literally chose this. You had options. You had the good guy right there, but he wasn't exciting enough for you. But a lot of you would rather find out the hard way. And while you're choosing drama and toxicity over genuine love and respect, those good guys get swooped up by women who actually appreciate them. You can't reject good men and then act shocked when you're left with trash. So let's just stop blaming all men for the type of men you keep choosing. The problem isn't that good men don't exist, it's that you don't want them.
Young men are tired of being lied to. Young men are tired of women using them. Young men are tired of getting destroyed in divorce court and family court, losing their children, losing their wealth, getting used in where we allow women to be with no consequence. So when a guy like me comes around, or Andrew Tate, or these other guys, and we say, yo, do not take them seriously. Only be very restrictive on who you want to decide to marry and date. Guess what? It resonates. Women is just one component of how men have been lied to over decades. The Disney fairy tale, the lies, the courtship, the chivalry. They're dead in women. I'm just here to report to you guys the truth.
What a lot of modern women like to say, but they really don't understand, is that checking out isn't really giving up. It's essentially men are redirecting their time. They're taking their energy, they're taking their money that they were spending on dating, and they're putting it somewhere else, right? They're spending it on themselves. They're investing in themselves. And at that point in time, like I said, the math just works. The ROI is better, and it's a little bit more guaranteed.
It's wild to me that men think that we view them as our equal.
Who exactly is this we? And who would be so arrogant to speak for and on behalf of all women?
Or that we give a fuck about their opinion. Or that we even want to hear them talk.
I mean, that sentiment could apply to a great many people.
Because no woman I know who has any shred of self-respect views a man as her equal.
It kind of makes a person question the types of women that some choose to associate with.
A woman gives no fucks about a man's opinion on her clothes, on her career choices, on her marriage choices, or whether or not she has children.
Well, in case this is new information, those individuals out there that are truly strong and independent-minded don't actually care what other people think at all, whether they be men or women.
The only women who give a what a man has to say are the ones with no self-respect.
Really? Well, what I've noticed is when a person has to resort to shaming tactics in order to try to get their point across, they really don't have one.
Are you a woman? No. So your opinion on women's issues means nothing to me.
The irony is these are some of the same women that will care about a man's opinion as long as it agrees with theirs.
And you can scream into the void as much as you want. I'm not going to listen to you because the entire premise of men's opinions is oppression. That's all they want, is to oppress women.
It's quite entertaining when someone tries to speak on what all men want, yet refuses to actually listen to anything that they have to say. Anyone notice the problem there?
Chivalry is misogynist, and here's why.
Modern day chivalry refers to certain male behaviors as it relates to the treatment of women. For example, a man is considered chivalrous when he opens the door or gives up his seat for a woman. Although this sounds harmless, chivalry can come across as benevolent sexism, which is the traditional and gender-based belief that men should cherish and protect women, and essentially put them on a pedestal. This makes women be seen as weaker and in need of protection, which can have some negative effects.
Studies have shown that women who are exposed to benevolently sexist comments perform worse on cognitive tasks and are more likely to think of themselves as incompetent. One example is when men unsolicitedly tell a woman, "Here, little lady, let me get that for you," as if they're doing her a favor because he low-key deemed her incapable of performing the task.
Studies have shown that men who participate in benevolent sexism are more likely to later participate in hostile sexism or negative and suspicious views of women, which is what most people think when they think of sexism. Chivalry is not, but it needs to be.
Share this post to spread knowledge.
Why are men so affected by admiration or appreciation?
I would say because of that productivity versus connectivity.
So also like linked to providership?
Yes, and we should visit that. Procreate, then protect, then provide, which is before gender, before human, before all that. But yes, it's linked to being productive, usually in order to provide. But if you think about how a human being is going to be able to be the most productive, if they're trusted and respected, that's how you get to be part of a team. That's how you get to go on the big game hunt. If you're not trusted and respected, you're chasing bunnies by yourself, and it'll never get any better. So experiencing being trusted and respected is a source of security for a man. And if, for example, a man is married and his wife keeps making sure he knows that she does not admire him, that she does not respect him, that he's not worthy of respect, then everything he's poured into what he's building, has been building with her, isn't safe. It's now in jeopardy.
The recent post about why our exes or your significant other moves on so quickly post got like 20,000 views really quickly. I can only imagine that it's because it related to so many people. And the reason that people go into another relationship very quickly is to avoid holding themselves responsible. They are avoiding feeling the shame, the guilt, the pain, and it might be their drug of choice, right? Relationships is a drug of choice for some. They hop from one relationship to the other, whether it's friends or lovers, and it is just their process. So I encourage you to detach from what you're making that mean. So often people make it mean, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not for that person, and they just discarded me, they used me.
A lot of these modern women, even when the man urines, they punish the man for it. They call the man clingy, they call him desperate, they call the man he must not have a lot of options. He girl, I hate I hate a man that acts like that. Who gonna be the boys? And now men, you upset because men feel nothing for you, and men don't miss you because it seems like everything modern women get their hands on, they ruin.
So it's understanding men and ourselves, and then accepting.
Yeah, this
and
is
not
real.
trying to change the things that are different from us.
Mm-hmm. This is real. How do we work with it? If we just practice that, if we were listening with the question instead of, is that true for me? Or what do I think about that? Do I agree with that? If we were listening with what's true for them, or the question, what's real for them? What's real for them? And just really looking, reaching, what's real for them? Oh, that's what's real for them. Okay, so now what do we do? How do we interact with that's real for them and this is real for me? How do we both get what we most need? We'll never get everything we want or need, and if we pay too much attention to preferences, we're just doomed. The difference between a need, which gives you something valuable, versus a preference, which is just like, oh, lovely to have one's preferences. It was so lovely that you had bubbly water for me, bubbly flavored water. Yay, your preference. But what we need, we have to focus on what are the most important things that we need, and how we know it's most important is by what we want to be. What are the needs? What has me feel patient? What has me feel compassionate? What has me feel joy? Those are the needs, if those are the things that we want to be. And it can be applied to anything. And men have used this methodology. Women have used this methodology. Started developing in 1997. And it came from when I started, and a lot of women are like this, so I think this is worth talking about. I thought men either didn't care about what I needed or were purposefully withholding it. Then one of the first things that I learned in listening to them is they care very much about what we need. They care about what we need.
Girl, you are too beautiful and too smart to still be asking a stupid question. Why do I keep seeing y'all say, how does men move on so fast? I wish I could move on fast like a man too. I don't know how they just be leaving one relationship and on to the next. Men need support in a way that you as a woman do not. A woman can flourish her whole life without a man, and most of you will be more successful without one. That's not the story for a man, though. A man flourishes more within a relationship because a man needs support. Women do independence. Men do prioritization. Can we talk about it? Men do prioritization. You as a woman can do all things and do all things well. A man needs to focus on one task at a time. He has to prioritize. So if he's prioritizing bringing home the money, he's not also prioritizing what needs to be done around the house. Do you get what I mean? If he's prioritizing the game tonight, he's not also prioritizing cooking dinner. If he's prioritizing his career, he's not also prioritizing how to be a good partner. He can't do it all. He needs support. You don't. You don't.
Ladies, we need to talk because somewhere along the way, society taught us to fear men instead of understand them. Women have been conditioned to see men as predators, rapists, narcissists, misogynists, controlling, and it's destroying our ability to actually connect with good men. There's a huge disconnect happening because women refuse to learn what men actually value. We're so busy protecting ourselves from bad men that we can't recognize or connect with good ones. We've been taught that all men are threats, that they're all cheaters, manipulators, abusers, perverts, creeps. The list goes on, honestly. So instead of learning how to build connections with men, we're constantly in defense mode. Once I changed this belief and started to see that there are a lot of good men out there and that men actually want to protect women, that started to show up in my reality. I started to realize that most men's innate instinct is to protect women. There are a small, very small percentage of men who are rapists, predators, perverts, abusers, but women like to think that since they had one bad experience or a few bad experiences with men, that all men are the same. We walk around thinking all men are trash, all men are this, all men are that, and that's just not the case. Yes, there are a small percentage of men who are like that, and I'm not discarding that, but there are also a lot of men who aren't like that. And there's just like this huge disconnect. Women think understanding what men value means being submissive or weak, so we refuse to learn. But how can you build a successful relationship with someone you refuse to understand? Men are simple creatures. Men value respect, appreciation, peace, support, being needed, physical affection. But women have been programmed to think men only want control and submission. So we treat every man like a potential instead of a potential partner. We're so focused on what men might do wrong that we never learn what they need to actually feel loved. The modern feminist programming taught us that male needs and desires are inherently toxic, so we stopped trying to understand them altogether. And then we wonder why we can't find good men or why our relationships fail. It's because we're approaching every interaction from a place of fear and suspicion instead of genuine connection. You can't build a loving relationship with someone you see as the enemy. Learning what men value isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Stop treating all men like threats and start learning how to recognize and connect with the good ones.
What modern women try to do, but they really don't understand, is that you can't shame men back into dating. They left because the experience overall was negative. You know, you're calling them names, trying to insult them, trying to shame them, and doing all of that stuff just confirms why they left in the first place. And so them walking away is just them removing themselves from foolishness that you guys have going on.
If a man can't spend $75 or $100 on a first date, he just shouldn't be dating. If a man wants to take you on a walk or go for coffee on the first date, say no thanks and move on. And what do women commonly do to get ready for a first date, especially? New outfit, nails done, hair done, maybe buy some new makeup or perfume or jewelry. Jesse, it's not about the money. On the first few dates it is. On every date moving forward it is. When I was in my mid-20s, I think I was 25, a guy wanted to take me to the dog park for our first date because we both had dogs. I said, I'm not going to the dog park on our first date. And so he said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And in my head, I'm like, I'm already planning and we haven't even gone on the first date. So I said, you think about it and get back to me. And he never got back to me. Either he didn't like me enough, or he thought that taking me out to eat was too much money, was too much effort, or he didn't have the money to take me out to dinner. Either way, not for me.
Men listen to this and then you wonder why they are just done with dating. Because why does he have to go all out on the first date when the purpose of the first date is to see if you even like each other? And for me personally, as the woman, I never put in much effort into the first date. Meaning my hair and makeup was the same that I had already done for the day. And the new dress in my closet, I didn't wear that until date number 5 or 6 that my fiance took me on. That was the expensive dinner date. And we threw some axes. My honest opinion is that women that demand these things on the first date, there's a reason for it. And unfortunately, it's because she doesn't typically make it to the second.
I don't think guys realize how crucial this is, but if a girl does something you don't like, if she's being shady or if she's just being plain mean, you can walk away. I don't know why this is really hard for guys because girls do it all the time, but it is a superpower that a guy has, is that you can walk away if you're not feeling it or if she's doing something that you don't like. And 9 out of 10 times, if you walk away, she's gonna come back even stronger longer because she's not used to guys doing this. Most guys just simp for her. She's used to getting her way. She throws a tantrum, gets what she wants. But if you're not that guy, she's going to be attracted to that because she's going to be like, oh my gosh, I cannot play games with this guy because he's serious and he'll just leave me.
One of the arguments in the red pill space that I see is that chivalry is women no longer want a man wearing a cape, right? And therefore we're out. We're out. We want nothing to do with women. We've tried to do our part. They want nothing to do with us. And what I want to say is that chivalry is some starting line, basic performative. And I'm not saying chivalry can't be appreciated, right? I like common decency. I like being kind to people, but chivalry is the starting line, right? It is like an interpersonal interaction between a man and a woman, courtship, etc. It has nothing to do with the overarching dynamic between men and women as a whole. Like if you're a guy and you think you're doing your part to support women because you hold a door open or pull out a chair, you're out of your mind. This isn't the 1950s anymore, bro. These red pill guys, women don't want a man wearing a cape anymore. It's because they don't need it. They don't need a man wearing a cape. They have their own cape. They don't need your paycheck. They don't need you holding the door for them anymore. If they want those things, awesome. But that's up to women. Women don't need men anymore. The question is, do women want men? And that's where some of you are really struggling. You mean I can't just make the money and hold the door open for her and buy her flowers and then her body is mine whenever I want it? No, this isn't the Mad Men alternate reality that you think you're living in. Here's the last thing that I'm going to say, okay? At the end of the day, I think that men are being forced to listen to women for the first time, and that's why we're seeing all of the problems that we're seeing.
So this era where, men are begging for your attention and your validation really is over. A lot of these men learn that begging, just asking you over and over again does not really change the outcome. If you're going to leave me in the first place, you're just going to leave. Like me begging and getting, oh, baby, please, all that other stuff just delayed what you was going to do in the first place. Your mind was already in another direction. It was going in another direction. And I'm not about to lose my dignity just to give you some sort of validation.
Stop. Y'all got to check this out.
What happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore or put in any effort?
When women decided they was too independent to need a man.
It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or they're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort? When did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him.
After they've been rejected so many times, but not being able to pay for somebody's life.
That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort anymore or don't care to put in effort. And a relationship won't work unless the guy likes the girl just a tiny little bit more. He has to like her just the tiniest bit more for it to work in the long haul.
But shouldn't they like each other a lot?
So it would make sense if a guy really wanted to get to know you, that he would go leaps and bounds to get to know you. And when did that shift? Because back in my mom's era, if a guy wanted to take you out on a date, he had to go up to you, he had to get your number, he had to go through lengths to try to talk to you, even if you weren't interested at first.
But if a guy does that today, he will be called a creep, a perv, or maybe even put in jail.
That's how my parents met. They met at a bar, and my dad asked for my mom to dance, and my mom was like, get out of here. She wanted nothing to do with him. If he had just left and listened to her, they would have never gone married, they would have never had kids. But he was persistent. He wanted to take her on a date so badly. He was like, what do I have to do to take you out on a date? She was working late their first date, so he went to her work, picked her up, prepped a dinner, took her to a park, just planned the whole thing. He wrote her poetry. He was yearning.
Today's women don't want that. They want what they see on the internet. Fake ass relationship goals and materialistic stuff.
The comments in this video were so irritating to read because God forbid a hardworking man takes a nap, right? It's not okay for him to take a nap. And then they would argue that the mom is working 24 hours, 365, 7 days a week. Like, shut up. Just shut up. You notice how old those kids look, right? At this point, the kids can be self-sufficient. They don't have diapers that needs changing from their asses. They don't need to be spoon-fed baby food. They don't need what tummy time and freaking playtime watching fruit dancing in front of a screen. They're playing Uno with their mom. I think they are self-sufficient enough to understand how that works. They can make their own little snacks and food that is easy to make for themselves if they need to be fed lunch or snack time. They could do something with themselves. Draw, go play outside in the backyard, go do something. The daughter could be playing with their Barbies. Boy could be playing with the cars. Daughter could be doing the same thing that the boy's doing, or the boy vice versa. Doesn't matter. The point is that the kids are self-sufficient. They don't need to be watched 24/7 like that. They are self-sufficient. And if they aren't, and if people in the comments don't think they are, then that's a serious problem. Because those kids look like they're already past the age of 7. And if mom wanted to take a nap, she would have taken a nap. She is completely capable of doing so. But if you have a husband that is sitting there working all day, all the time, and has the moment to just rest, because I know my husband, when he comes home, he always takes a nap. He's tired. It gets hot outside. He comes home looking red and exhausted. Why would my husband not take a nap? I would honestly think something is wrong with him if he didn't take a nap. Like, honestly, women gotta stop posting stupid like this. Oh, because the most irritating thing I see throughout the day when my husband is home is him taking a nap. Oh, it's like he's not allowed to be tired. I know you get tired, but he's not allowed to be tired just because you're with the kids all day? Doing what? What exactly are you doing? You don't have any managers up here at your throat about anything. You're not being told 24/7 that you have to do chores. Sometimes men don't even give a shit whether or not you're doing it for the day. As long as it gets done, it gets done. They don't give you a time frame. But managers, bosses, people who own companies will and will fire you if you don't do it. Like, do you women even like your husbands anymore? Like, why do you guys post stupid like this? Give the man a break.
Be very, 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 very careful who you have a baby with. Be very careful who you let convince you and manipulate you and tell you that they love you more than anything. When I am telling you it is one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life. This is the first time in 10 months I have let her cry. And when I tell you it is unbearable, no matter which way you go about it, it is unbearable. You feel violently guilty no matter what you do. No matter what, I used to be such a happy person. I have been so reluctant to record this video because I don't want her to grow up and see it and get things twisted, because she is, without a doubt, the best thing in my life and always will be. But I used to be a completely different person. I physically cannot tell you enough how careful you should be and how important it is. You will never, don't let people tell you marriage and all that bollocks is more important. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I am telling you, nothing will determine your happiness. Nothing will impact your life as severely as who you decide to have a child with. It is off the scale. And when I say I used to be happy, when this vicious little parasite first laid his eyes on me, he hated, he resented all of the things about me that I loved about myself and about my character. He hated, and he couldn't wait to draw every one of them out of me, one by one. He hated how confident he was. He hated how outgoing I was. He hated how people responded to me so well. He hated my independence. He hated, how can you meet someone's daughter? How can you meet a stranger, someone's daughter who is just trying to live their life, and hate all of their good qualities and want to pull them out of them and take them from them one by one? Who is wired like that? I will never understand it. Never, ever, ever. I should have known when he so easily walked away from his 2 children that he already had to be with me, and of course twisted that completely and made it out as though, you know, the person that he had them with had made it that way, and he didn't want it that way. He wanted to still just be able to completely do her over and move on in an instant and still see his children that she had birthed from her body after being by him for so many years. How awful of her to not just say, here you go, you can still have them whilst getting on with your life, after completely wrecking mine for well over a decade, because that's what he did to her. And I don't know what, I consider myself quite a bright person. Like, I've never thought.
A lot of these men have checked out of dating, and they start, you know, checking into what's going on over here. Hey, this is a more peaceful life for me, right? Oh, let me go get a gym membership and start working on myself. Let me find something else to do. Let me, you know, actually pick up some more hobbies. Let me open up a savings account or an investment account, right? Everything that dating a woman, because modern women like to say there's so much of a value add and enhancement. Everything that you were supposed to add, they had already found it without all of the stress that modern women bring.